What's up, everybody? This is a new episode of Catfish on Ice with your host, Chad Minton, Rich Howe, and Kyle Perkins. It's our first episode in 2 weeks. It's felt like it's been forever, guys, since we had an episode.
It's been a while. It's been a little bit. A little bit.
It is our first time that we've missed 2 full weeks of episodes. Like, we've never gone 2 weeks since we started in December of 2020 without doing an episode. So it's really good to be back. We got plenty of Preds topics to get into. But before we can go anywhere tonight, Rich, rapid fire, you spell the newest player on the Preds right, his last name. How do you spell Nino Niederreiter's last name? Go now.
Oh, wow. Neiderr. I don't know. I lost it.
Come on, you got it.
I had it going.
Doing so good.
Oh, I won. Oh, I just looked. I was. Eiter.
I thought you had it. I thought you were going to name
Eiter. That's it. No, it's Nied.
Yeah, it's Ni.
My bad.
I've had to spell this man's last name like it feels like 500 times in the last week, and if I spell it wrong again, my phone's pretty much how to spell it now. So what trips me up is there 2 R's or is there 2 D's? Does the I become before the E? But I think I've got it down now.
I think it does it one of each time in his name with the I and the E. Like it's N-I and then I-E, N-I-E.
The Nieder.
And then it's E-I-T-E-R at the end.
The Nieder,
so
the Nieder
you get
part
both
is
variations.
I-E. There you go. The Nieder part is I-E and the Reader part is R-E-I. So that's how you can tell.
We're just gonna stick with Nino. Nino, I can roll with that. We're going with Nino.
Well, you have to write it. Yeah, Niederreiter, but
yeah.
That's cool. Put me on the spot. I just wanted to check real quick and make sure we're not called like the lightning bolts on ice anymore, since somebody doesn't live
bolts on ice.
Bolts on ice, since somebody doesn't live within 3 states of us now. So I just wondering, making sure we're covering the Predators and not the Tampa Bay Lightning. So
first of all, where did you go to high school at? Because I don't know what geography classes you took, but there is only one state between me and Tennessee, sir, and that is Georgia.
Me, so not between me. Me and Kyle.
Oh, okay. But you said 3 states, and I don't know what 3 states you're talking about. Go right up through Georgia, and I am in Tennessee.
3 for me.
Okay.
And Kyle.
Well, I thought – I'm being dead serious here, guys. I didn't do it, but I thought about wearing a Lightning shirt to open up tonight's episode just to mess with you guys. But
that's funny.
I really care about all of our listeners. I really do. And I don't know. I think they would disown me if I did that. So I scrapped that plan. Right. I didn't do it. There's no Tampa Bay Lightning merchandise in this house, but I almost did it just to mess with you guys.
When you moved in, they didn't give you a shirt or anything, Tampa Bay Lightning?
No.
They're awfully proud of that.
No.
So, which they should be. So
they should be.
Hey, we got to say.
We
got to say hey to some folks. CJ is in. Good evening. And then we have Max Greenberg. He says, my phone won't recognize Tomasino. It's the most annoying thing. It recognizes Niederreiter fine. That's funny.
That's random.
Yeah. And Mike Twitter's in here. So lots of friends.
Hello, everybody.
What's up, boys?
That is super random for sure to recognize Niederreiter but not Tomasino. That's
my phone. My phone recognizes Borowiecki. You type in BOR and it just fills it right out. So that's pretty awesome.
Well, that's because that's the only thing you're going to write whenever you start out with those letters.
That's true. If you type BORO, you're pretty much guaranteed.
Unless you're a chemistry teacher and you're typing out boron all the time or something.
Well, there you go. Yeah. That's funny.
I get the now that we're talking about spelling last names right for hockey players. I get the cringe alert big time when someone spells Forsberg with a URG.
Oh,
like
God.
Pittsburgh or something like Forsberg.
Forsberger.
Yes, that's like the biggest cringe alert for me. I can't do it.
Have you been on Preds Facebook or something?
It's
they
on
still
Preds
can't
Facebook
spell RV
constantly.
Right. You can't spell RV.
I just can't do it.
They spell it with a Y.
That's funny.
It just
too funny.
some of these names I totally get it. But you can't spell Forsberg right. I mean, I don't know. All right, let's get past that. It's awesome. It's episode 138. Catfish on Ice. We're so happy to be back. Missed a couple, plenty to talk about. We haven't done an episode since Nino Niederreiter was signed. So we're going to talk about how this awesome addition is going to change the Preds lineup for next year. We have to get into the rest of the offseason. Do the Preds have another move up their sleeve? Possibly it happened. Something could happen. There's still a possibility out there, although seems like it's dwindling that happened, but it could happen. We got to get into the Matthew Tkachuk drama that unfolded. It gripped the hockey world for a few days. The Preds were one of the teams that were being rumored to possibly be in on it. People were losing their minds thinking about Matthew Tkachuk on this team. And that was after they had already signed Nino Niederreiter. So it was like, if we signed Tkachuk after Nino Niederreiter, the rumors were swirling. The trade offers, the trade packages. I loved reading them. I love reading that stuff when everyone throws their trade packages out there. It's good stuff. We're going to review that.
I just want to trade Dante Fabro for somebody, and it'll make my offseason. Is that too much to ask?
Not a Fabro fan.
I gotta tell you, I thought it was going to happen, and it still could happen. But I thought if anyone was going to be traded off this team this offseason, besides Luke Cunnin, it was going to be Dante Fabro, and he's still on the team for now. So now you're looking at this defensive core, and is he going to really be a third pairing defenseman? It seems that way at the moment.
I mean, with the season Carrier had, and then McDonough's not going to be third pair.
No.
Where else are you going to put Fabro? He's going to be on the third pair.
If he's on this he's going to be on the third pairing.
Let's be honest.
Probably Lausanne.
Let's be honest.
Yeah.
Should have probably been there from the get-go.
Should have went to Milwaukee.
Or that would have worked too, but did not happen that way. But we'll see what happens. I think him and Lausanne would be good. Anyway, we're veering off subject, but yes.
What up? I got to say though, well, it's kind of worth mentioning. I got to say that's a really good, solid 3 defensive pairings. That's a really good starting 9 defensive lineup there, if you ask me.
Yep. I agree 100%.
And then we've also Kyle Perkins has got some good updates from development camp, some of the things he saw. I know that happened a few days ago. It's been a little bit in the rearview mirror, but we are going to at least talk about it and see what we saw from that. And then we got to speculate, what is the Preds ceiling for next season after watching all these off-season moves? How much better of a team are they since they were swept a couple months ago by the Colorado Avalanche? How much better have they gotten? I think we can all agree they've gotten better, but how much better? It's a good question that we're going to try to answer. We've also, since it's the offseason, there's not going to be a lot of news coming up here in the next couple of weeks, most likely. We've each got a show that we're binging right now that we can suggest to our listeners to help them get through the offseason. I normally watch a lot of shows during hockey season. I got plenty to keep me busy, but I've been kind of watching more shows than I normally watch. Been getting into some new stuff, and I got one good one that I think everyone should go watch. It's so addictive. I've wasted hours and hours watching this show. So we'll close out Catfish on Ice, episode 138. With that, we are brought to you by DraftKings and part of the Hockey Podcast Network. Get the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and promo code THPN for some exclusive offers for all the summer sports that are going on right now. Golf, MMA, baseball, that good stuff. NASCAR is going on right now. A lot of good
guys
stuff.
playing catch.
Soccer. Oh, yeah. All the good stuff's out there. Cricket. I'm sure cricket's being played somewhere in this world right now. You can bet on cricket.
Magic the Gathering tournaments.
Something
That's
like
been on
that. You can find
ESPN
something.
before.
ESPN the Ocho. ESPN the Ocho is what they call it.
Oh, do they? I don't think
that's reference from a great movie right there.
Oh, yeah. Awesome.
They need to make that a real channel, by the way.
What movie? What was it? What movie?
Dodgeball.
What movie is it? You know, I've never watched Dodgeball. I know.
What's wrong with you, Rich?
I know.
All right. Anyway, let's move on. We're going off the tracks a lot here.
We haven't seen each other. We haven't seen each other.
This is what happens. This is what happens when you don't have an episode in 2 weeks. We start rambling and we start talking about random stuff, but it's okay.
Absolutely.
All right, let's get back on track here. We're going to let Kyle start us off here tonight. We'll talk about our main topic, our opening face-off, and that is the Preds going out and getting Nino Niederreiter for 2 years, $4 million, a very, very low-risk deal. If you ask me, I don't think risky in any way, shape, or form, and you're getting a very proven veteran who's going to play your style very well. He fits into that word that Kyle loves, identity.
Yes, he is an identity guy. He's a tough physical player. He averages in the 20-ish goals range. He's used to playing with some elite players like Sebastian Aho, Tkachuk, a lot of those upper end guys at Carolina. So he knows how to be a support guy. He's most likely going to slot in on that second line with Johansson, and I'd love to see him with Tomasino. You give Tomasino that cushion of Niederreiter and Johansson to kind of protect him just a wee bit, make some room. You could see some special stuff from him. What I thought was the most interesting thing is how he got signed to his contract, because he said, I went to bed that night thinking I was signing with the Anaheim Ducks in the morning. And then Roman Josi texts me at 1:00 in the morning and asked me, how much money do I need? And I'll get with my management. And the next morning, he's a Predator. So the captain going out and recruiting guys, I love it. I could not love that more. That makes me, as much as I love Roman Josi to begin with, that just like, you're the captain. You want this team to win. You're doing everything you can do. I love it. I'm really happy with the signing. I can't complain about it at all.
For sure. Yep. Yeah. I saw that story as well. And I was like, David Poyle, like Roman Josi's doing your job for you. Like, you're not even like, are you going to give him like a bonus or anything or a car or something for, doing your job? But yeah, I mean, $2 million for 44 points. That's pretty good. So he'll fit right in. I'm really excited. Didn't really see it coming. I don't think anybody did, but very, very happy that it happened for sure. So,
so the fact that it came, Niederreiter's sitting around on the market like almost a week later, and after the market opened, and Niederreiter was a player. I won't say that I predicted him to come to the Predators, but he was one of my top 5 players that I thought the Preds could realistically target before free agency opened. But I mean, I didn't nearly expect that he would be on the market for that long. After day one, I pretty much totally forgot about Niederreiter becoming a Nashville Predator. I didn't be signed by someone else eventually. So the fact that he was just sitting around out there and the Preds and that cool Roman Josi story, the thing about that is, it's really cool about that is, we always think about these athletes just they do on the ice, but you think about a player like Roman Josi and how well respected he is among his peers around the league.
Especially European
that's just
players.
Proof, right? Yes. That is just proof right there. That illustrates it perfectly. The fact that he figured out a way to kind of make a front office move as a captain in a way. I mean, it's a really cool there. Yeah, I totally agree with what y'all are saying about Niederreiter. He's definitely going to fit into the top 6. He's that puzzle piece that the Predators badly needed. So kudos to the front office and to Roman Josi for assisting and getting a player who's definitely going to make this team a tougher team to play against. he's going to make them a more viable playoff opponent. He's going to make them tougher. I know that sounds really generalized, but he's going to make them a tougher team. Niederreiter is one of those players that you hate to play against, but you love it when he's on your side.
Absolutely.
I mean, he's a really good forechecker. He's a really good defensive forward who can also pot you some goals. He's going to get some critical assists. And if anything, no one can argue the fact that he is a huge upgrade over Luke Cunnin. No doubt about it.
Yeah. The invisible Luke Cunnin, for sure. I didn't look into like his contract, like what he made in Carolina or whatever, but $2 million a season, that seems like a bargain for him. Do y'all know anything about
$4 million? No, it's $4 million AAV.
Yeah,
$4 million.
Two by $4 million, which is low. I was expecting him to make in the sixes.
So
it's still a bargain.
So, yeah, I didn't.
And for that length, for 2 years, you're not like. Let's say he does have a little bit of a dip in production, and maybe he doesn't produce like he did with Carolina, which might happen. It's not like you took this long-term contract that can come back and bite you. It's 2 years. It's $4 million. It's just a really good bargain. I mean, that was a bargain deal right there.
So I just had a remembery of something.
Remember all?
Yeah. Do you remember 2 years ago when Saros got the concussion?
Somebody talked about that on Twitter.
Some people have brought it up in comment sections. They said he owes a big apology to UC Saros when he joins the team.
So I just remembered that. That's what I've been over here searching. It's like, oh, it was him. I thought it was.
Sure was. And boy, I remember watching it. We were all livid. Yes. We were.
Yeah.
But now we're like, oh, it's all right. Just apologize. It'll be fine.
Still don't see how he didn't get suspended.
The thing about hockey players, though, is that they have short memories if they're on your side. If you're on the same side, because it's all about, it's a battle out there. It's, these hockey players, they get it. Like, I don't remember it clearly. I mean, I don't think it was – he basically barged into Saros behind the net. Like, and the whole controversy behind the hit was he didn't do enough to not hit Saros.
Yeah.
That was the big thing is he leaned into Saros a little bit. It was kind of borderline dirty, but it's nowhere near the dirtiest hit I've ever seen on a goaltender. So I don't think it's something that we should really be too upset about. But it was a little dirty. You never want to see your goaltender get knocked over by a skater behind the net, especially when that player could have probably done a little bit more to avoid hitting your goaltender. But at the same time,
Pretty sure he got fined for that too. The little, $5,000 or whatever they're
some little
fines are.
I will say though, so you're mentioning that he's most likely more than certainly going to play on a line with Ryan Johansson. A lot of people want Philip Tomasino on the other wing, but I don't feel like that's as set in stone. But I definitely feel like it's pretty close to a certain that Johansson will be on a line with Niederreiter. I think those two can be a really good match together. I think Niederreiter can make Johansson he's going to make him a much better player.
Yep.
Did you know they have history?
I did not know they had history.
I read that, but I didn't read the whole story.
Johansson and Niederreiter played juniors together on the Portland Winterhawks, where they were the top line of the Portland Winterhawks.
Wow.
Dropping knowledge. That's good stuff.
That's good, yeah. That's good. We like that. Friends with Roman Josi, former teammates with Ryan Johansson.
Mm-hmm.
Match made in heaven.
He's got a badass nickname, El Nino. I mean, how cool the nickname
And we
is that?
meet our quota of Roman Josi having a Swiss friend on the team.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's true.
It's great. It really is. Like, I mean, I don't think it instantly makes – I mean, it doesn't move the meter like signing a Matthew Tkachuk would have, obviously, but it's a very effective move. It really is. And
it is literally a no-risk option.
Yeah, and if the offseason ends with the Predators not making any more roster additions, which we're kind of about to get into that, I think we can be pleased with this offseason. Of course, the results is what's going to matter. So we might look back on this offseason after next season and think, okay, that offseason was a complete train wreck. Nothing worked. But just looking at it right now with that going into the season, it looks like it's a very effective offseason. The Preds were definitely aggressive in their moves. Maybe not on day one of free agency, but they definitely were out there inquiring. You throw in the Ryan McDonough trade that before free agency even opened. You throw in the fact that they traded Luke Cunnin and actually got something out of him in return. Can't overlook that. They made some RFA decisions as well. Tommy Novak's a good one that they got signed. And then, of course, Philip Forsberg. Of course, Philip Forsberg getting re-signed is huge as well. That's probably the most important move of the offseason, obviously. So it's been a really productive offseason. I think they've done a lot of good things. But now let's talk about this.
Quick,
let's answer CJ's question. Yeah.
CJ wants to know who lines up with Joey and Nino. In our opinion, who do we think?
Tomasino seems like the most obvious choice there. But, it could be Tolvanen. It could be Tolvanen. I mean, we got to wait and see what happens in training camp. The only logical two choices are Tolvanen or Tomasino, though. It could be Tanner Jeannot. If they want to break up the herd line, they could move up Tanner Jeannot. But, of course, we've got Yakov Trenin going to arbitration right now. I mean, I still expect him to get signed, but
for sure,
that's still floating around out there. Let's get to Kyle real quick. He's going to have to bounce a little bit early. Let's get to Kyle real quick so he can give us the rundown on what happened at the development camp, because in the process of moving to Florida in the last couple weeks, I totally missed everything with development camp. So Kyle's going to have to lead the way with this one.
So I think Dev Camp was best summed up by this tweet from Knox on Twitter, who's at ShowPonyBoyX. Lanky Russian boy tearing through Nashville like a bachelorette party on Adderall has been an amusing saga. And of course, he's speaking of Yaroslav Askarov, who just absolutely stole the whole week with his larger-than-life personality. And also with his outstanding goaltending. I know I've watched a lot of Askarov's play over the last few years since he was drafted. His whole stylistic approach looks different since he started working with the Predators coaches over here, since he was in Milwaukee and since he's been at this Dev Camp. His feet are much calmer. His movements are more controlled. That said, he was taking a penalty shot from Joachim Kimmel, who I'll get to here in a second, and he came out to the circle and poke checked it.
I saw that. That was great.
A Ron Hextall type maneuver or Hasek, and it was one of the craziest things I've ever seen, because Kimmel is a dangerous man. My hype level for Askarov is just through the roof. It's ridiculous. And he's just such a fun follow on everything. Him and his wife are adorable together, and it's just, they're awesome.
They're amazed with Target. That was what was funny. They're like,
the bag of M&Ms, and it's just like, oh my god,
so great. Yeah,
but
I think we were all just really hoping that once he got over here to the States and got that development that he wasn't getting in Russia, in the Russian leagues, that we would see that progress that we know, and that raw talent would come up and raise up. And so it's really that he looked really good at development camp. That's awesome news.
Yes, he looked awesome. He was he allowed no goals in the game, in the scrimmage game. And I think one got scored on him in the shootout, which isn't too bad. Shootouts are they're pretty rough. But going down the line, Parsonen, LaRue, Kimmel, and Evangelista as forwards are all going to, unless they're traded, I think all four of those guys are going to end up in gold jerseys. Kimmel, what an absolute steal at 17 in the draft. It looks embarrassing. That kid right there is something else. And you had him.
I don't know how he fell that far.
I don't either. You had him, and I want to say Parsonen and LaRue on a line together, and they were just bullying people. It was, they were pretty impressive. Defensively, Adam Wilsby, Luke Prokop, Spencer Stastny, and Ryan Ufko. They all show a lot of potential as defensemen. It's a dev camp. Your defense isn't going to be set super great, but those guys played well. One of the things that I noticed the most is just the personalities of these kids and just how big the personalities are, especially from players like Afanaseyev and even though he's not speaking English super great, Askarov. And then you've got LaRue, who's a bit of a clown as well, but he's very well spoken. Just a lot of really good talent coming up. Even Jakob Kondelik, the big German, he does not move like a guy who's 6'6". Even jokingly said he wanted to be a defenseman and his dad wouldn't let him. So that's why he plays forward, and it's too late to switch now.
That is a massive frame to be a forward. 6'6". That is huge.
He's a big boy,
but he moves well. Yeah, I've heard he moves really well.
Yeah, he's
definitely
smooth skater.
Igor was hurt a little bit before the what do they call it? The Future Stars game? Is that what it's called? I can't remember. But, he was a little banged up for that, so he missed that game. So we didn't get to see him play in that. But during camp, he had looked really good. One thing that I'll say he really improved on was his edges and his cornering. His skating just looked a lot better, and it looks like he was using his body a little bit better as well, which is something you want to see from a kid his size. Really hope that he ends up in Nashville here in the next 2 years, probably. I think a lot more steady development since he's came to Milwaukee is going to help him. At least another year up there, and I think he'll be all right.
It's going to be really interesting to see if the Preds got to dip into the prospect pool this upcoming season due to injuries or whatever else or bad play, and they want to shake up the lineup. I mean, who's next in line? It seems like it's really open to it's not really clear cut who they would feel most comfortable about when it comes to the prospect pool right now. I mean, that's not to say there's not talent down there, but it's a lot of very young, raw, developing talent that still probably isn't quite ready for the NHL just yet. So if they do have to go down there, I'm interested to see real quick, Kyle, who do you think? Do you think Afanasyev is probably one of the top that's next in line?
If
they do got to call somebody up?
I think so. If it's a bottom six
that's
spot,
what I would think. Yeah.
And then you have this myriad of AHL level people that they've signed over the course of the
Leonard.
offseason.
You got the Leonard. Leonard got traded over here from San Jose in the Luke Cunnin trade. So Leonard could probably get some NHL time if he was needed.
I want to say Kiefer Sutherland, but that's the actor. What is his name? Sherwood. Kiefer Sherwood.
Okay. For sure. I mean, you've also got the defenseman they signed in free agency, Gravel or Gravel.
Yeah.
Still don't know if I'm pronouncing his name right. I'm horrible.
Yeah.
But they've got some options as far as who they've signed and stuff. But
sure.
That's good stuff, though. Really, really good, exciting times for the prospect pool right now. We've been talking about it. It's just kept getting better and better and better. So a lot to be excited about right now when it comes to the prospect pool and development camp.
It's going to be awesome.
Preseason should be good too because we'll see some of these guys in the preseason games.
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
All right, boys.
All right.
Y'all have a good night. See y'all.
Have a good one, man. Take care.
See you, Kyle.
All right.
All right, good stuff. Kyle had to bounce out, part of being a dad and having little ones running around.
Yeah.
So, but that was good stuff there from the development camp that I totally missed. All right, this is Catfish on Ice, episode 138, off-season review edition. Even though the Preds could still have a move up their sleeve, I forgot to bring this up at the beginning of the episode. Rich, Robbie Stanley is going to hop on with me tomorrow morning to record a segment. The great Robbie Stanley of 102.5 The Game. He's been on the podcast once before. He's so kind to rejoin the podcast to talk about a lot of the stuff that's happened over the offseason. I can't wait to get all of his thoughts on everything. So that will be part of the main episode we're recording tonight. So the full episode will not be available on podcast platforms until later tomorrow. So a little bit of a change in schedule there if you're wanting to download the podcast the next day. If you've already downloaded it and you're listening to it right now in your car, no need to do anything. The Robbie Stanley interview is going to be at the end of the episode. So just keep on listening.
Very
all right,
cool
Rich.
guy.
Yes, Robbie's one of the best out there. I love him. He's such a good dude. He's such a solid, great guy. Yeah. All right. Absolutely. So do we think the Preds got anything else up their sleeve, Rich? What do you think, man?
I would hope so, but it just, as time passes, it just looks like
it would have to be a trade. It would either be a trade or maybe,
sure.
I was all over this Phil Kessel stuff just because he's a funny dude. And I think he'd add a lot of humor and a lot of energy to the locker. He'd eat a lot of hot dogs. Hot dog sales would triple in Nashville.
For sure.
And that'd be good. That'd be great for the local economy to sell more hot dogs. But, the more I think about it, I don't know if there's a place for him on this team. I mean,
there's not now, fun, really, if you think about it.
There's not. I mean, where are you going to put him? I mean, he would come for a cheap price. Like you could get him for $2 million probably, but and he could score you some clutch goals here and there. You know, he played for a really bad Arizona Coyotes team last year, and he still piled up a ton of assists.
He did.
So I mean, he could still be a very productive player. He would add some toughness to your team, but I don't want him to come onto the team and take away a spot from a young guy who needs it, who's earned it. That's kind of where I'm at with it. You know?
Well, yeah. So where he would slot in would maybe be the third line or whatever, but you really don't want to, if they wind up keeping, Sissons, Trennan, and Jeannot together, you really don't want to break those dudes up to
no. So you would end up sticking him on a line with like maybe Eeli Tolvanen, or maybe be on a line with Tommy Novak might fit back into the lineup, or I mean, it would be kind of up in the air at that point. And I don't know. I just don't know if he'd fit on this team at this point. So I'm going to go ahead and scratch him off, but he is still hanging around out there. I think if the Preds wanted him, they would have already done it by now. But
yeah, I agree. I think so too. And like you said, it wouldn't be a big contract or anything. So, I don't know. I mean, I agree with you. I'm kind of over it a little bit. It was kind of a novelty thing for a little bit, but
yeah, they could pull off a trade. Still, very, very. They could definitely do that. I mean, it's still on the table. But I'm more of the belief now that their rosters can definitely contend. There's no excuse for them not to be a quality team that can win a lot of games and be in that playoff hunt once again. No excuses for that not to happen. And then I think that you should be in a really position to do something at the trade deadline.
Yes.
Especially contending. If you're contending, if you're in the top 3 of the division and you're hanging around up there near the top and you're competing with the Blues and the Wild for second and third place in the division, and the trade deadline comes along and the front office feels like we are just one big piece away from pulling something special off, then that's what you do at the trade deadline. So that's going to be really interesting, looking way out in the future right now to see what happens with this team.
For sure. Yeah, I agree. I think if they just, maybe just roll with what they have and just see what happens. I mean,
well,
they're no slouches, that's for sure. And the pieces that they've got,
and we also
great.
We also got to bring it up here. Yakov Trenin still has to get a contract. He has gone to arbitration, which is a normal thing. No reason to get too overworked about arbitration or anything like that, salary arbitration. He has definitely outplayed his contract, and so that's why arbitration is happening right now, because he had a really good season, and he's earned himself quite a little hefty pay raise. So it's going to be interesting where his contract falls. The Preds right now, according to Cap Friendly, have a little bit over $4 million of projected cap space right now. So they have more than enough money to get Yakov Trenin paid, but not much is going to be left after that. So anything else that happens after Trenin gets signed, it's going to have to come via a trade. You're going to have to dump some salary by trading a Dante Fabro or trading some other players away. It's going to have to get really creative at that point if you pull off a trade.
Yeah, for sure. If you remember last time Yakov Trenin went through contract negotiations, he was kind of dangling the fact that he could go to the KHL over,
that's not going to happen now.
Possibility. That's definitely not going to happen now, so they don't have to worry about that.
We can take that off the table.
For sure. That's definitely off the table.
Right. But I love Yakov Trenin. I mean, I definitely want to see him. I definitely want to see him get paid. I think he could get around $2.5 million, maybe. I can see him falling around that number. $2 to $2.5 million range is where I'm expecting him to get. So,
yeah, it'll happen.
It's probably just a matter of them being off by maybe less than $500,000. But these kinds of things happen a lot with players like Trenin, unique players like that who really outperformed maybe what the team was expecting. It happens. They'll figure something out. I'm not too worried about it.
No, absolutely.
Let's go ahead and move on here. Again, this is episode 138 of Catfish on Ice with your hosts Chad Mitten and Rich Howe. As we're doing our off-season review, this is presented by DraftKings, and we are part of the Hockey Podcast Network. Let's fill you in on DraftKings real quick. It is the off-season, of course, but DraftKings is still there for you because we still got plenty of really good sports going on right now. We've got golf, MMA. We've got Major League Baseball, of course. We've got all the stuff. It never ends. The action never ends at DraftKings Sportsbook, especially this summer with tons of ways to bet on all of your favorite sports. You can fuel your fandom and feel the heat of the season like never before. So go download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now. Use promo code THPN. Make your first deposit and get a risk-free bet up to $1,000. That's promo code THPN only at DraftKings Sportsbook. Minimum age and eligibility restrictions apply. See show notes for details. Right now, I think this offseason, the most fun for me personally to bet on is definitely going to be the UFC fights. I really like I like picking the underdog a lot of times. I like looking at reading about the stories of some of these underdog fighters because it is not a glamorous climb to the top when it comes to UFC fighting. These guys start off, these guys and ladies start off making hardly any money for all the training they do. They normally have to quit their jobs to do this stuff. It's a really amazing sport. Teaches a lot of discipline, but I love betting on it because I love betting on the underdog in everything. All about the underdog. So that's what I like to bet on. I know Rich likes to bet on croquet. What is it? Croquet? Is that the sport? Cricket or what is it where they hit the ball into the little thing in the grass? Like what is it?
Oh yeah.
Croquet? I think it's called croquet. You have like a big hand. It's like a big hammer. Like it looks like a giant like gavel, and you hit the ball through the. Yeah. That's what Rick. That's what Rich likes to bet on. He bets on croquet every night. We've actually told him he needs to cut back on his croquet betting because it's getting a little out of control.
It's getting a little out of control. I keep betting on. I like underground croquet though. Like they fight a little more.
It's a seedy. That's a seedy scene there, seedy, man.
Yeah, kind of weird.
He also Rich threw in a lot of money on the hot dog eating contest a few weeks ago on Joey Chestnut.
Oh my gosh, I can't even watch that.
He bet that Joey Chestnut would eat like 80 hot dogs and he only ate 60. So Rich lost a little money on that, but
I
it's
cannot
okay.
even watch that.
DraftKings is still there for you, is what we're trying to tell you. So go do that. DraftKings Sportsbook app. Promo code THPN. They are there for you until we get back to hockey season in a couple months. So just stick with it.
Yeah.
We've also got football season starting in like a month.
Right around the corner.
The sports calendar never stops. I know NFL training camps opened up today. So sports calendar, it never stops.
Nope.
All right. Let's get down to it. Let's talk about this Matthew Tkachuk drama. I know he's one of your favorite players. So,
man, yeah, that was craziness.
What did you think about it, Rich? What I was just going to ask you, what were you thinking about it? Were you really buying into the fact that maybe the Preds would pull off something to get him?
I'm not going to lie. I was going to be pretty excited. He's obviously a talented player. Just that would immediately 100% make the Predators better. But when I found out what they had to give up, I'm glad that they didn't do it, because I'm going to be honest, I think Florida kind of screwed themselves. And I would have never given up those two guys for him. There's just no way. Wasn't going to happen.
I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe when I saw the trade. I really could not believe what Calgary was. What Calgary came out big time winners to get Jonathan Huberdeau. They get Jonathan Huberdeau, who is an MVP caliber player. Not to say that Matthew Tkachuk isn't, but I mean, if you're looking at Calgary and they get Mackenzie Weegar, who is a very quality defenseman, they get a prospect, they get a draft pick out of it. I mean, if you're Calgary, and it's been a really horrible offseason for them with Johnny Gaudreau just
for sure
sneaking out the back door and going to Columbus and everything. I mean, it's been a rough offseason for them. They should be very, very excited. Our friend Lindsay should be very, very excited that they were able to get the trade package in return for Matthew Tkachuk.
Yeah, Huberdeau had a really good season last year. If you haven't checked, it was 115 points, best of his career. I mean, that's amazing. I mean, Calgary, I think they definitely won on the trade. Not to say that Tkachuk isn't an awesome player. He is a great player. I can't believe Florida gave up what they gave up for him. So Predators have nothing. They would definitely not be in the running. If that's who they had to give up to get him, the Predators definitely didn't have anything to offer.
No,
to even try to entice him here.
There's no way. I mean, you were the trade. I was hearing all kinds of crazy trade packages that the Predators could throw out there. Some of them made a lot of sense. Some of them were really good. I saw Philip Tomasino's name in a lot of those trade packages. I saw Yaroslav Askarov thrown in there, and that's where I said I got to give you a hard no. I even saw you don't give up goalie prospects like that. I'm sorry, you don't.
Not like him.
I know Matthew Tkachuk's a great player, but that scared me thinking about that. I saw Dante Fabro thrown in there. I saw Eli Tolvanen thrown in there, even though Tolvanen's trade value is not very high right now. Matthias Ekholm was mentioned in there. Ekholm's an interesting one. Ekholm would have been maybe, but the thing of it is the Flames really needed them to get a high quality scoring winger in return, and I don't think the Preds didn't really have that to offer,
Yeah, we barely have.
Unless they were going to trade Matt Duchene. I saw some people even mention Matt Duchene in a trade package. That might have gotten it done, but I don't know. I don't know how much better you would have been, at that point.
And I guess, I don't know, like it seems like he might not, I don't know how you'd fit in with the team. I guess you just make it work when you have such a talented player, but it just doesn't seem like he's the type of player that would fit in with the Predators very well. But I guess if you, like I said, if you did have him, you'd make it work, obviously, because he's really talented. So it was crazy.
His quote I'm reading here from Sportsnet about going to the Panthers. Matthew Tkachuk said, "Very surreal. It hasn't fully sunk in yet. in his first press conference as a Panther. He says, it's unbelievable. It's unbelievable waking up here. You just get that little bit more excitement knowing where you are. So I guess he's a big Florida guy. I guess he's a big Sunshine State guy, apparently.
I guess. I don't know. I did see him also say that he said, I hated Edmonton when I was up there, and now I hate Tampa Bay. So
he's your new favorite player now that he shares the hatred for Tampa Bay with you.
Stirring up the pot, isn't he? I like Florida. I don't have fun with Florida.
I want to go back. Another part of this quote here from Sportsnet here. Tkachuk said, when I made the list of teams, first and foremost, it was winning. Well, duh. I mean, that's what every player is going to say. But still, so it was winning. It was not just winning now, but it was winning in the future. All the guys are from my age to 28, 29, or the majority are. So I guess he was wanting a good young team to join. Win now mode and win in the future. Number 2 is a lifestyle. I'm 24 and I had 6 unbelievable years in Calgary, and it was the best place for me to be at the time. Looking ahead, I signed for 8 years, but in my mind, I'm here for 8+. So yeah. So it sounds to me like he's super, super happy with going to Florida. And then also Huberdeau also said he's very much open to signing long-term with Calgary.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I saw he put out a tweet or something saying he was excited. And, he didn't think it was going to happen this way, but he's happy that it worked out, and he's excited to get started. So
it'll be fun. It'll be a fun storyline to watch next season. See how Chuck does. See how Huberdeau goes. They're going to be compared all season long next year. You realize that. It's not going to even be fair. It's not going to be fair, but they're going to totally do it. They're going to look at the season Chuck's having individually. They're going to look at what Huberdeau's doing, and they're going to compare the trade that way.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's going to happen for sure.
I am very happy that Chuck went to the Eastern Conference and he didn't end up on some of these other teams that were being rumored. He was being strongly linked to the St. Louis Blues. I saw even some rumors that maybe I saw some rumors that the Dallas Stars were in the mix.
Wow.
I would have, yeah. Wow. If he would have ended up on Dallas, I wouldn't have liked that at all.
Not have liked that.
And then the New Jersey Devils, weren't they in on it? I'm pretty sure the Devils were trying to get into it.
They were one of the ones.
So the Devils have swung and missed on 2 former Calgary Flames players this offseason, because they were also one of the front runners for Johnny Gaudreau. So they've missed out on 2 Flames players this offseason.
They were. Poor Devils, man. They just can't catch a break, it seems like. And they're not that great. They're suffering. So.
They're one of those younger teams that seem to be getting better and better, but they got a long ways to go, though.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, let's go ahead and get to our final Preds topic of the night in our off-season review. And that's just a very, very simple, straightforward question. I like to keep it simple on this show sometimes. After everything we've talked about tonight with the off-season review, all the different moves that have happened, let's be realistic here. I know that the goal is always to win a Stanley Cup. If you ask a player that, they are going to say our goal is to win a Stanley Cup. I totally get that. We're not asking the players. We're asking ourselves as fans and followers of the team, what is the realistic ceiling that should be set for this Predators team next season after seeing all the moves they've made with Ryan McDonough, with re-signing Philip Forsberg, with getting Nino Niederreiter, with making a couple other significant moves here and there.
Mm-hmm.
Rich, you started off. What is the ceiling? Where do you think the Predators have to need to go, both in the regular season, maybe in the postseason? What are you thinking?
Well, with what they've done, they definitely moved the needle. Did they move the needle enough to get a Stanley Cup? No, I don't. In my opinion, I don't think so. But anything can happen. You never know. But
you got to get hot at the right time. They say it all the time.
I would be, with where they are and who they have, I would be disappointed if they weren't in the top 3 of their the conference or the division.
The division,
for the majority of the season. I think they need
to finish in the top 3. They
need to finish in the top 3 and be a player in the top 3 I think the whole season. Just to
Which,
send a message.
they were in the top 3 for a decent
Mhm.
little chunk of last season too, and then it kind of fell apart there towards the end, and then they barely even made the playoffs. But
yeah, I think if they can just build on what they did last year in the first 3/4 of the season, I think it's definitely something to build on. They just need to finish a little stronger, and who knows? Will they get to the Stanley Cup Finals? No, I don't think so. But
I agree with that expectation, and that you can call that a bold prediction as well. Finish in the top 3 of the division. I know that's not the only goal. Obviously, it doesn't matter if you finish in the top 3 of the division. If you lose in the first round again, then who cares if you finish in the top 3? But right now, we're just trying to set benchmarks here. We're trying to set a measuring stick of where we think this team should end up, and that's a really good goal to set, is finishing in the top 3. It'd be really, really cool. None of us think that the Predators are going to take out Colorado and win the division. That's not going to happen. They're pretty high up on that mountain by themselves right now. But
for sure,
would it be really cool? And it's not completely outlandish, at least not in my mind, to think that maybe, just maybe, the Predators could be that second place team and get to host a first round playoff series. That would be pretty awesome. Get home ice advantage in the first round. I give them a puncher's chance to hang with St. Louis and Minnesota in the top 3 of the division. I do think the Predators are definitely where we sit right now. I think they're better than Dallas.
Mm-hmm. I
definitely think they're better than Winnipeg. I think Winnipeg's not had a very good offseason at all. I think Winnipeg's going backwards right now. Chicago's definitely a fire sale.
They're going to
Arizona.
Chicago's going to be last year's. They're going to be this year's Arizona.
They're just going to trade spaces, and then Arizona and all 5,000 of their fans might get to see them play. They might get to see the Coyotes finish in 6th place. So. There you go.
I'm not going to lie. It would be pretty awesome to go there and watch an NHL game.
I would sign up for that. That would be really cool. It'd feel like you're in a college arena, or it is a college arena. But it would. But I mean, it's kind of an embarrassment for the NHL But it is what it is. We won't get into that. We've already kind of talked about that. But what I'm trying to say is, I think it's a toss-up between Minnesota, Nashville, and St. Louis. A lot of people would probably push back on me right now and say, no, St. Louis and Minnesota are still better than Nashville. Okay, fair enough, but I think you can call it kind of a –
Are they though? I don't know.
I think you can call it a toss-up between those 3. Yeah, if I'm going to pick one of those 2 teams between St. Louis and Minnesota that's maybe slightly better than Nashville, I'll say St. Louis is maybe slightly better than Nashville, but Minnesota doesn't scare me at all, to be quite honest. So – yeah, I think, and Nashville played really well against Minnesota last season in the regular season. So I think that's a very realistic, bold prediction to make as far as talking about this team's ceiling. As far as postseason, I'm not saying it would be good enough. We should be pleased, but this team's got to get out of the first round for a change. I know we should. I know it doesn't mean a whole lot if that's all they do and they still lose in the second round. But it's all about showing progress and making progress and showing us results, improving results. And the fact this team hasn't gotten out of the first round since 2018 is just it's ridiculous. We need to see results. We need to see postseason results.
Yeah, I agree 100%. And I think with the guys that they've gotten and the moves they've made, they've got a best chance that they've had in, like you said, in several years to definitely get out of the first round. I think just the addition of those guys, Niederreiter playing with Carolina, we know how they play. He can bring some of that to the table. You got Ryan McDonough, we definitely know how he plays. We've seen him in action. That gives them a good advantage to do better than they did in the postseason. So, it's exciting for sure.
You've got a Philip Tomasino who there's no reason to think that he's not going to take it even further step forward in his career growth. He had a great rookie campaign. Alex Carrier just keeps getting better and better and better.
For sure.
So you've got these younger players. Ellie Tolvanen's obviously the big question mark, but we'll see what happens. Tanner Jeannot, there's no reason to think Tanner Jeannot can't even take another step forward and have an even more productive season. Yakov Trenin's another player who you expect to keep improving, getting better as he grows in his NHL career. So, yeah, there's tons of reason to think that this team is going to significantly get better next season. It's really exciting to see it happening. And then here's the biggest one. If the Preds do make the playoffs, let's just hope that UC Saros is actually healthy for the playoffs this time around.
Yeah, because
I mean, we didn't even mention it. I mean, I'm not saying that the Preds would have gotten out of the first round with UC Saros in net. They wouldn't have. The Avalanche probably, at the very least, would have still beaten them probably in 5.
Yeah,
but
sure.
But all I'm saying is, UC Saros is going to make a hell of a difference if he's available when and if the Preds make the playoffs next season. So
for sure, and now he's got that first season as a starter under his belt, so he should be ready to go.
Speaking of UC Saros, let's throw in another bold prediction. It's kind of tying into our Preds ceiling as well for next season. We're kind of tying in 2 segments together here. I'm going to go ahead and say it right now. Bold predictions, which means you have to go out on a limb. You can't predict anything easy here. UC Saros is going to win the Vezina. This is his year. It's happening this year.
Hey, man.
I'm going to say it right now.
He was in the running for a long time last season, so I don't think that's out of the realm of possibility. That's awesome. Yeah, I think it's very, very rare for a goaltender to win 2 Vezinas in a row. So as great as Igor Shesterkin is, I'm going to take him out of it. I don't think he's going to win it this year. He'll probably win plenty more in his career, but I'm going to take him out. It's UC Saros' time. I probably said this last offseason too. So I'm going to keep saying it until it happens. It happens.
In fact, you know what? I'm going to have to go back and listen to the tape. I think I did predict UC Saros to win the Vezina last year. So you know what? I'm going to say it again. I'm going to say it again. I'm going to keep saying 6 years from now, if Saros hasn't won a Vezina and we're still doing this podcast, guess what? I'm going to predict it again. I'm going to predict it every year until he wins
it. It will happen.
It'll happen eventually.
He will win. Yeah, that's cool. So I guess I'll give you a bold. You want me to give you a bold?
Yes, jump in on it.
We're going to do bold. I have a bold and possibly bolder prediction. If everything trends right the way it did last year, I'm going to say Philip Forsberg is going to break 90 points this season. The bolder
that's attainable.
I think it's attainable, but when you package it with what I'm about to say, that's where it gets bold. Him and Matt Duchene break 90 next year. I think that's doable.
It's conceivable.
It's conceivable to have 2 good seasons in a row like that. That's the tricky part. But I think they can do it.
So here's a big thing about Forsberg, and I think Kyle Perkins has brought this up before in past episodes. Philip Forsberg has not played more than 70 games in a season since 2016-17.
Yep.
Now, we won't count the 56-game season because that's not fair to put that against him, obviously. But in all of and we really can't even – so let's see, the season that was cut short, so 2019-20, he had played 63 games. So he probably would have broke 70 games that year if the season hadn't been cut short. But he only played in 69 games last year of 82. The year 2018-19, he played in 64 of 82 games. The year before that, 67 of 82 games.
Wow.
So if Forsberg's played 82 games, all 82 games, 3 times in his career when he first started playing regularly for the Preds. So from 2014 to 2017, he played 3 straight seasons of all 82 games.
Yep.
So if Forsberg can fit an 82-game season under his belt, then 90 points should be very attainable for him.
For sure. Yeah. Yep. He was close last season, but to have both of those guys do it, that would just be amazing. I mean, even if he can just play like 70, upper 70s games, he could probably hit 90 points. But we'll have to wait and see. It's definitely a possibility. So he's going to be rejuvenated. He's going to be ready to go. Yep.
He doesn't have that. He doesn't have the whole contract free agency status looming over his head to distract him. So, yeah. And he just got married, so congratulations to Philip Forsberg.
He did in Paris or in France.
Very happy for him. That's all. So he's had a pretty good couple weeks, Rich. He got married.
He has,
and he just signed a big old shiny contract. So it's been a pretty good week for Philip Forsberg, or a couple weeks.
Yeah, for sure. I guess he'll be getting him a big old house in Nashville somewhere soon. So good for him.
All right, let's see. So those are our Preds ones. I've got one NHL prediction here. I'm going to go with a bold prediction on who I think is going to win league MVP next year. And it's not a Preds player.
No.
I'm not that bold. Although I would love to predict Roman Josi, but no. Yeah. I'm going to say, this is pretty bold here, Rich. Matthew Tkachuk is going to win league MVP.
Okay. All right.
In his new Florida digs on a team that has a high-powered offensive run-and-gun type of offense, I think he's going to pile up the points. He's easily going to get more than 100 points. It's my bold prediction. Matthew Tkachuk, in his first year in Florida, wins the Hart Trophy.
That is bold. That's a good one. It's attainable. It's attainable for him.
So I got Saros winning the Vezina. I got Tkachuk winning the Hart. Those are my bold predictions. If you want me to do more realistic predictions, I'll come back to that another time.
Yeah, we'll have to think about those, but
they're bold predictions for a reason.
Yeah, I think that's doable for him. I mean, last season was his best ever. I'm looking at his stats. So 104 points.
And he's such a young player. So, I mean, the peak for his career is coming. Like, you don't expect him to fall backwards. So,
for sure.
And he's playing for he's joined a much highly powered offensive team. Whereas the Flames, he was a 100+ point scorer on a Flames team that wasn't confused as being an offensive juggernaut necessarily.
Right.
They were still a quality offensive team, but they weren't like the run and gun style that Florida plays with. So he's gonna pile up the points.
He will for sure. Maybe they'll eventually make him the captain. I know he probably wants to be a captain somewhere. So
yeah,
maybe that's in his future.
It'd be good. It'd be good to watch. Yeah. All right, let's shift. Let's end episode 138. Let's give a couple shows here that can help all of our listeners get through the dog days of the offseason now that free agency is pretty much behind us. The draft's behind us. All we had to look forward to right now is training camp, which is still a ways away. So we've got a little bit of a dead period of the offseason where not a lot's going to be happening on the hockey side of things. So let's give you some shows. I'm going to give you some shows I've been watching. I'm going to give a couple because Kyle's out of the show right now. He had to leave early. So since we don't have some of his shows, I got a couple I can throw in there that I've been watching. Cool. The first one I got here, it's been out for a little bit. It's 2 seasons. You can watch it on Hulu, so you can binge it on Hulu. That's what I've been doing. I'm really into like the nature shows. Like I love all the shows where like all the wildlife experts go out there and like check out all these exotic animals and do all the crazy stuff. I love like Shark Week on National Geographic or Discovery Channel. I love Shark Week. I had never heard of this show. I don't know if you have or not, but I discovered it like a week ago, and I watched like 6 episodes in a row. I couldn't get enough of it. Have you heard of a show, Rich, from the history? I think it's from National Geographic is the original. No, it's from History Channel, the original channel, but it's on Hulu. Okay. Kings of Pain.
No, I have never heard of that.
Okay, so Kings of Pain is a show about these 2 wildlife experts. One of them is a professional animal handler. The other one is a wildlife biologist. So they're both they both work with animals. And each episode they go out to some of the most exotic and crazy parts of the world, and they get these creepy crawlers and all these animals, and they let these animals bite them, and they rate the pain of these bites on a scientific scale. It is gnarly. I mean, they let centipedes, tarantulas. One of the episodes, they let a bird. It's called the bird-eating tarantula. Is the name of this tarantula? It's the biggest thing of it. Like it looks like a hamster with 8 legs.
Oh.
I love the look on your face right now. This is great. But they literally. So they handle it properly. Like the animals don't get harmed. Like they handle it because they're professionals. So a lot of times they'll use these tweezers to hold the animal properly, and they'll place the animal on like their forearm. They let the animal bite or sting them, and then they rate the pain on this pain index. I can't get enough of it. It's like watching a car wreck. You can't look away. You can't look away.
Was flipping channels one time and saw them. You remember when murder hornets was like the big thing?
Yeah, they let a hornet sting them. One of those types of hornets. They let that was on one of the episodes.
And he did it, and then he was like, "Oh, it's like instant." And like his hand got all gnarly and puffed up. Yeah, I do know what you're talking about now. That's insane.
They let an
there's
eel
no way.
sting
There's
them.
not an amount of money.
They've let an eel sting them. They've let all kinds of crazy stuff, man. Like snakes, a centipede. There was one animal called the velvet hornet, or the velvet something, and it looked very, very harmless, but apparently it was like the most painful thing. Like the dudes, I think they let him do it on the forearm, and his forearm started puffing up with like blisters within like 6 hours. These guys are crazy, but I can't get enough of it. So
it's crazy. That is insane.
And then the other one I got, I'm really into like World War II stuff. I'm a huge history nerd. There's a show I highly recommend if you're into the old time World War II stuff and all that stuff. It's called Buried Secrets of World War II.
Oh, that's cool.
And it's also, I think it's from National Geographic. It's also on Hulu. Buried Secrets of World War II. They go back and go into like the vegetation and go find all these historic battlegrounds, and they uncover using science and technology these battles happened. And some of it's pretty hard to watch because I mean it shows like some old footage of where Americans lost their lives and stuff. So it's very educational, but it's a really, really well done show.
Yeah,
so
that's
awesome.
another
one. That's another one that our listeners can check out during the off season here.
Yeah, that's cool. I have to check that one out. That sounds interesting. So I talked to Kyle a little bit, and we had a show. Both of us were going to say the same show. So we started the new season of What We Do in the Shadows is on. I don't know if you've seen that or heard about it.
What's it on? What's the streaming
network?
Hulu.
It's on Hulu.
Oh, I gotta check it out.
You can watch all of the other seasons. It's vampires. They live in like Long Island or something, and it's like present day times. It's a comedy. It's really funny. You'd probably like it. The guy who
I've heard of it.
wrote Thor Ragnarok and directed the new Thor movie, Taika Waititi. He's the producer and directed a bunch of the episodes. It's his show. It's very funny. Check it out. Love it.
I will definitely. And by the way, Hulu is not our sponsor. We wish it was, but Hulu's not our sponsor. But we're throwing a lot of love to Hulu tonight.
That's funny because the other thing that I like watching music documentaries about bands that I like.
Yeah.
And there was a documentary on called "We're Once Brothers," and it was actually on Hulu. It's about the band. You know what I'm talking about? Up on Cripple Creek. Yeah, their name is The Band. You never heard of them? Oh, really? Yeah.
Oh.
So it's The Band. There's a documentary about them, and then so they were they started off playing with this one guy, but then the whole band wound up being Bob Dylan's backing band. So I started watching a documentary about Bob Dylan. So I
love documentaries though. As long as it's an interesting documentary, like I love watching documentaries. Anything that can teach you something and give you some knowledge, is always a good thing.
Absolutely.
So there's a lot of good stuff out there. Let us
sure.
know right now. Tweet the show at Catfish Ice. Tell us what you're watching. Give us some good suggestions to be watching to get us through the Preds offseason, because I got to tell you, I really do miss hockey. I don't know about you, but I miss hockey.
Oh, I do for sure. Yeah, they're starting doing the Preds are putting out on social media the countdown, like players' numbers, and they're like, the other day it was Saros, and it's like it's a long way away. I started looking for might try to go to a preseason game. I think they're playing Tampa Bay on a Friday night in September. I might try to go to that, but we'll see what happens. I'm really missing it.
Yep,
for sure.
So I've already got it circled on my calendar when they play at Bay Lightning.
Good old Amalie Arena.
I think they play in. Yeah, I'm definitely going to be there. I got to look up when exactly. I saw it here because I will definitely be there. Let's see. They play at Tampa Bay on December 8th.
Oh, there you go.
I will be there.
Maybe you'll meet some.
I will definitely be there. I cannot wait for that.
Fans. That'd be cool. Meet some.
Yes, it would
Nashville
be awesome.
Fans. That'd be great. Very cool.
For sure. So, yeah, December 8th, I'll be at that game. And then my buddy Clayton, he's the Dallas Stars fan. I've already told him he needs to come down here when Dallas plays at Tampa, and we'll go to that game.
Oh, yeah.
And so, yeah, I plan on going to plenty of games there, settling in here in St. Petersburg, Florida.
Awesome.
I got to say, it's a really great town. The people are super, super nice. I highly recommend for anyone who's looking for a new vacation spot to come to this part of Florida, because not St. Petersburg is pretty, but all the surrounding areas of the beaches and the coastline is just, there's so much good food down here. Like I said, the people are really nice. There's so much to do.
Awesome.
Yeah, I'm right south of Clearwater Beach, but you've also got all these other beautiful beaches. I went to this one beach. It's actually an island right off the mainland. There's like a little strip of islands that you have to go across some bridges to get to. And there's a really thin little island called Passe de Grill. And it's a really old island, and it's got cobblestones on it. That's just how old this island is. It's got cobblestones. It's got like a little town center that's just one little block. It's a little town center. And you can tell how old the island is with these cobblestones. It's got old little shops on it and some old restaurants. It's so cool. So I highly recommend coming down here, checking out Tampa, St. Pete area. It's a really good area. And I'm in Tennessee, but I'm happy to be down here.
Yep. Glad you made it and you're getting settled in. That's awesome. For sure.
All right. I'm still a Predators fan. I'm still wearing the hat. No one needs to worry. I'm not a Lightning fan. It's going to be okay.
Can't even imagine it.
You would disown me. You would just kick me
off
the podcast.
I probably would. Be like, can't do it.
You would change the password to the podcast. I wouldn't be able to log in. You would just disown me. You'd block my number you'd block me on social media. You'd block my phone number.
Yeah. One day you're just like, you know what? We're going to talk about the Tampa Bay Lightning from here on out. Never.
It would never happen. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for listening. This has been Catfish on Ice, episode 138. We will be back next week on our normal schedule for a brand new episode. So stay tuned for that. It's been great. It's been fun. Brought to you by DraftKings, promo code THPN, and part of the Hockey Podcast Network. We hope everyone has a great rest of their week, and we'll see you next week. Also, stay tuned for the end of this episode because we got Robbie Stanley coming up. If you're listening to the recorded audio version, Robbie Stanley interview, Robbie Stanley 102.5 The Game is coming up next.